Everybody, welcome. This is episode 30 of my podcast series, and today I'm really pleased to welcome David Ramsden, who is the founding director of Den Architecture, who are based in both Leeds and then more recently London. That's right, David, isn't it?
Yeah, well, more recently we opened our London office in 2001.
Okay, well,
Um,
okay,
yeah,
not
yeah.
that.
More recently we've opened an office in the last 12 months in Hull on the
Okay,
East Yorkshire.
yes,
Um,
I saw that
that's more,
actually. Yeah,
but yeah, so we're very active well, we're active across the country, but we have had significant amount of work or London centric work over the last 2 decades, I would say.
yeah. So do you
Yeah.
base it because obviously the geographical distance is quite a lot. Do you base yourself between Leeds and London, or do you tend to just stay in
I
Leeds?
mean, we had a dedicated London director at one time. We don't now, but
Yeah.
I tend to go down every 3 weeks myself
Okay.
and tend to stay then 3 or 4 days.
Yep. Yeah.
Um, we've got we had an actual dedicated office in Clerkenwell with at that time 9 staff in there at one point.
Okay.
We now more of a well we're in a serviced office in Gower Street,
Yep.
so we have one permanent. But then with the work on site, our guys that come up and down and women base themselves from there.
Yeah.
But it's very much project driven now in terms of the
As
amount of times that we would be down. I'm there generally to maintain relationships, quite frankly.
yeah, as
Yeah,
the whole
yeah.
serviced office, I hear this a lot now, but as the whole serviced office thing come since COVID, or is that prior to that?
It's what I say about serviced offices. The offer is so much better.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
So the serviced office we were looking at 6 or 7 years ago, I didn't really like that. We didn't really want to get involved. We create that. We just rented our own spaces.
Yeah.
But now some of I mean, particularly what we're looking at, but the serviced offices they've gone to a different level where
Yeah.
you were designing. I mean, I've done a couple, but you designed serviced offices a few years ago, and the circulation areas, gross to nets, were heavily weighted in favour of the tenant.
Yeah.
Now you go and it's like 35% circulation or more, which
Yeah.
includes all the breakout spaces, eating, drinks, little kiosks for private telephone calls, and really beautifully designed some of these things.
Yeah.
We've just completed one of those in Harrogate, funnily enough.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Nice part of the world. Yeah.
yeah, right in the centre of Harrogate.
Yeah.
It's just opened actually, and but it's that kind of sort of concept and completely different from 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
offices with talking the whole COVID thing, but that's when obviously everybody left their offices, didn't they?
yeah,
And presumably, yeah, and that's when the whole era of the serviced office really took off. Then, which you've obviously alluded to already.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've retained our office here in the centre of Leeds,
Yeah.
um, and we do have flexible working.
Yep.
It's 3 and 2 for most staff, if you like, which all seem to really enjoy.
Yeah.
Um, and I suppose the selfish thing is that I'm the landlord of this building, so it's in my interest
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's the same building because am I right in thinking the practice started in 1989 by yourself? Is that right?
that's right. Yeah,
Well, that's the same
1989.
building now, is it?
No, we
No.
moved into the centre. We started a little office with just two of us, and then ended up very quickly growing. We were very fortunate.
Yeah.
I think right place, right time in many ways. And within 12 months of starting up, we had like 7 people, 8 people. Then we
Okay.
moved, and yeah, so yeah, we've been here in this building since 1998,
Okay.
and in
Yeah. Yeah.
Leeds, yeah,
Um, and so the work you're involved in then, looking at obviously the projects I've promoted for you already, but
yeah,
as well as kind of obviously residential, you're involved in commercial, industrial, health, leisure, lend your hand to anything pretty much. Is that
yeah.
right?
We've got a mix, and yeah, we kind of lend our hand to anything. We have um, professionals within the practice who probably more aligned to doing certain types of work.
Yeah.
So high risk multi-story, we've got dedicated architects who are working on those projects in
Okay.
London, Sheffield, Leeds, hopefully Manchester shortly. But and we have a couple of people that deal directly with our industrial stuff,
Yep.
which as a workload maybe takes, I don't know, 10 to 20% perhaps.
Yeah.
We do, yeah, as you can see, we do a lot of care, assisted living,
Yeah.
care homes, care villages, which seem to be growing as a requirement. Um, yeah, leisure, we're doing hotels. We're just finishing um, a, a new hotel, which is quite interesting, right opposite the town hall, and we're just completing our huge. The extension is bigger than the original building, if you could argue.
Okay.
However, by definition, our new extension is now listed
Oh, okay. Right. Yeah.
by connection.
Yeah. They
yeah.
they kind of go. They have to go hand in hand, then, do
Yeah,
they? Is that?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You might
Okay.
go, yeah, you might think, well, why?
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
but yeah,
didn't realise that, to be fair, but
yeah, it's because it's connected to the existing listing.
yeah.
So,
Oh,
um,
okay. So
so
does that
that's
present its own challenges, I presume? Or
it was the committee, the planning committee described it as the most sensitive site in Leeds at the time when we first sort of put the
yeah,
thing in for planning 3 years ago, whatever it was. And yeah, we're right opposite the Grade One listed Leeds Town Hall. We're almost in the grounds of it, if that's the right
yeah,
expression.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we're in the shadow of a Grade One building,
Right.
and we refurbished, converted late Edwardian hotel, originally was a hotel, into an apart hotel, and a huge extension,
Yeah,
hopefully very sympathetically, but whilst contemporary,
yeah.
within the whole sort of curtilage. And it seems to be going in terms of feedback. We're getting very positive feedback.
And
Um,
this is a project on site at the moment, is that right? Or is
it's
it
just completed
just
as we
completed? Okay,
speak.
yeah, yeah.
Literally, yeah, they're putting the people in the rooms as we speak.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So with the setup of the business being what's that 30 something odd years old, isn't it now?
36 years. Yeah.
36 years old, yeah. Which is brilliant to see, isn't it? Because there's a lot of startups coming as well, but unfortunately over the years with when was the first
Mm.
recession, the Maggie Thatcher recession? That was 92, 91, something like that, wasn't
Yeah,
it, if I
we've
remember?
been, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, we're about 2 years into
yeah.
trading, I think, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you've survived through all of this, where sadly others have fallen by. So what's
Yeah.
kind of what's been a real plus side for your business, do you think, then over these decades?
Tough side?
Well, you've seen it all, haven't you, over that period? So yeah, what's
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, that, isn't it? When you're looking back over 3 decades, you realise that, I think what I've realised now at the age I am, is that you used to always forecast, you'd be constantly looking at the economic climate and
yeah,
looking at the business pages and always worrying about the next recession or the next drop off.
yeah,
Um, And yeah, and COVID was a real worry for us when that hit. But the
yeah,
credit crunch was difficult.
yeah. What was that
But we managed to
2007 or
keep,
something, wasn't it? Yeah,
yeah, and we
yeah.
managed to keep. We don't get me wrong, it was a hit, but we managed to keep all our staff through that.
Yeah, that's really good.
COVID, we actually crazily grew our turnover in the first 2 years of COVID, which was
Yeah,
remarkable because we thought it would. I expected another credit crunch almost, but
yeah,
um, and but one thing it's taught me is that there's always a good news story coming around the corner.
yeah,
And so just plow away and all you can do is deal with your own little macro business and your macro economy in your own four walls,
yeah,
and not
yeah, yeah,
stop worrying too much about everything. Obviously, you've got to plan
yeah.
and look at cash flow, but try not to worry too much and enjoy it whilst you're doing it, as it were.
That's an inspiring way. Well, they always say, for me from a military background as well, it always used to be control the controllables, which is a really good phrasing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
if
Don't worry about
there's
the things you cannot
well,
control.
if there's
Yeah,
next to bugger all you can do about something,
yeah,
then take it on the chin and press on, don't you? Basically, so
yeah, yeah.
which is testament to why you're still going strong today. Um, so with you, obviously, you mentioned it was Hull, wasn't it? Your other office,
Yes,
Hull,
yeah,
London, obviously Leeds. So
yeah.
do you work geographically from those offices, or do you work all around the UK?
We work through the whole UK. For just as a snapshot, I've got a serious project which has been commissioned in Glasgow,
Okay.
um, a master planning scheme in the centre of Middlesbrough.
Yep.
Um, we've got 3 schemes on site in Hull, which reflects, I think, the amount of investment that's going over into that city at the moment.
Yeah.
That's probably an hour's drive from us. Yes, of course, we're doing a lot of work in Leeds because we're here. We've got a name now after so many years.
Yeah.
The London area have got 2 decent projects on site right now. Finchley, Bexley Heath, Dudden Hill, we've completed. And yeah, Southampton, Leicester, that big scheme in
Okay.
Leicester right now.
Yeah.
So no, we just work geographically. It
Yeah.
doesn't really matter as long as it's UK. That's about. We won't go beyond the UK, but and obviously we have a lot of connection with Hull because sorry, with London, in as much as quite a lot of the projects that we do
Yeah.
are generally often funded from the capital, as it were.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And pension funds you work for, asset management, that kind of thing. We work with asset managers who will be based in Mayfair in Curzon Street, but they want to look at something in Newcastle or Liverpool or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
Okay.
a lot of work comes from London, but may well be anywhere in the country.
I presume then, as you already mentioned, because a lot of your work is Leeds based because of your history, does most of it come word of mouth then, or how do you win most projects?
It's a good question, isn't it? I'd say, yeah, word of mouth, repeat, clients, recommendations. Yes, we've got more savvy, I think, with only these last couple of years with social media, website. We've always had the website, but it's much better now.
Yeah.
We've got much more savvy in how we sort of market ourselves, I guess. And yeah, repeat. I mean, for example, I'm still working for a client that we first did a project for in Old Burlington Street in Mayfair, and that was our first project with them in 1995, and we're
Okay.
still working
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah. 30 years
So
on. Yeah.
the important thing is to provide a really good service,
Yeah.
be honest with your client, and put client off where we do, where we actually put them off employing us if we think that the project they're looking at is a non-starter.
Yeah. That's
So you
good.
always,
Yeah.
always be honest with your client,
Yeah.
and yeah, and I'm touching sort of wood when I say it, but that seems to generate enough workload to keep all the staff in the practice busy to the point that we're probably going to have to recruit a bit shortly.
Yeah. That's really
Um,
that's really good to see you're still thriving after all these years, and it's
mm,
you're going from next to next. So going back on the history of the practice, then
mm.
you I'm only assuming this, but you called Den Architecture after the last part of your surname, I
That's
presume. Is
it.
that right? Yeah, yeah, I thought
I
so, but
think, yeah,
you never know.
yeah.
But
The
weren't you
imagination
called?
ran wild there.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, but weren't you called something else originally back when? Is that
yeah. It
right?
was just
Or
my name. It was
yeah,
yeah, the Ramsden name,
yeah,
Ramsden and Partners, and it was deliberate sort of rebrand, mainly because we were sort of around the country, and
yeah,
I didn't. I was going into meetings with senior architects who now one of the well, we've got three directors now
yeah,
who are in terms of their knowledge of their projects are far beyond me, and they're really to carry the bag. But everything seems to be directed at me, no matter who you were speaking to.
yeah,
You could be talking to a pension fund manager in London,
yeah,
and his natural instinct would be to direct everything to myself,
yeah,
and to the detriment of my colleagues. And
yeah.
it was always
Okay,
to do with the Ramsden name being on the tin, if you like.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was a sort of a brave thing in some ways, but I decided actually, and then got support to go for a complete rebrand.
What sort of
Um,
year was this then? When was this?
2014, 15, I think,
Okay, 10,
something
10
like
years
that.
ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and it
Okay.
seems to have worked.
Yeah, 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 and
Yeah,
so obviously you mentioned the website, which looks is a very I see thousands of websites. Obviously, I'm
mm,
talking to I've done this myself for the best part of 30 years now, and
yeah,
I get to see it all. But yeah, yours is right up there with it's got the basics. It shows your projects. It gives information about who you are. Some websites I see don't show any of their work or their history or their story.
yeah.
Which almost seems pointless to have, doesn't it? The website is your shop face, isn't it? Basically.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we just sort of tweaking it a little bit now, where people want to dig deeper, and whether this is a failure going forward, I don't know. But where we're going to put a few little stories in there, narratives as
Yeah,
to
yeah.
why we're involved in a certain sector, how different people have come through and gone from school to senior director in the office.
Okay.
Little stories to
That's
just
really good. Well,
people,
people love to, that's a
you know,
success story, isn't it? Like you say, the part one that's come through up
yeah,
to, directorship. With that
yeah.
then, do you have any kind of junior members of staff at the moment? Or are you all kind of senior heavy?
No, we've got, I would say, three junior members
Yeah.
who have come straight out of university recently, one year out. We usually have a year out student at some point, continually,
Yeah.
and many of the year out students have stayed with us.
Yeah.
Um, and even to the point of recruiting, is recruit the right word, but bringing in people from A level point and encourage them and follow their career. So I've got Jake who's been with us, and um, he's literally been with us since doing his A levels in school, right through
Okay.
to get qualification and beyond.
Yeah.
Um, but we also have on the technical side as well, which we're looking to expand the apprenticeship thing, where we put people through university, so they've not had to um, basically spend their own money
Carry
in
the
getting the
cash. Yeah.
degrees, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
supported that.
That's really good.
Um,
Yeah,
you know, and some whether it's the sort of the sandwich course type operation, or whether they just uh, do the old 2 day a week kind of thing. So
yeah,
there's various ways of doing that. But ultimately, we've got staff that become really sort of brilliant for the office,
yeah.
and obviously supporting themselves now as they get older, um, but that have not been saddled with any debt. You know.
Which is, that's bound to put youngsters off, isn't it? Because
Oh yeah, completely.
the story of what they're looking at of 10 years worth of studying, and then
Yeah,
what, 100 grand's worth of debt
yeah,
potentially,
yeah,
it's going to be
yeah.
scary, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
yeah, the route that you're offering is brilliant.
yeah.
And I think others are following now. That's becoming more. It's gaining more traction, isn't it?
I
That
think
route.
so. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
What's your kind of background then? Obviously, you started the practice in '89. Did you you worked elsewhere for a period of time, obviously, before going on your
Yeah,
own?
yeah. So I think um, I think we just got electricity when I set up. So when I started working, so I was 16 straight from school,
Yep.
straight into an architect's practice. I wanted to be an architect, but with my background, I didn't, no one had friends or relatives, anyone that
Yeah.
had been to university. So there was no mechanism for understanding even how you did that. I just thought
Yeah.
you go to an architect's office and train for a while, then you're an architect. Slightly
Yeah.
naive. Um, but, um, so I ended up, 16-year-old junior into Trevor Spencer's practice in Leeds City Centre in
Yep.
1973. Yeah, I was 16. And then did went through the OEC and HNC routes
Yep.
whilst I was there. The architect practice. Did that for 5 years until I was 21.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
but I always had that kind of, although it was great, I learned all the technical side of construction, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I also very much like keen on the design side, to the point, I used to do a lot of paintings and sketching, drawing, that kind of animal,
Yeah.
if you like. But yeah, so when I was 21, then bit the bullet and jumped into full time for part one
Yeah.
over at Hull School of Architecture.
Oh, okay. Actually, then the fact you'd done 5 years prior when you were on site and learnt to construct, that is pretty crucial, I think, isn't it? And that doesn't necessarily happen so much nowadays, does it?
Not at all. And there's some at that time, not so much now, but where they thought that would be like a disadvantage that you'd go in there with with sort of thoughts of no, you can't do that. You can't put
Yeah.
DPC in there, so that ain't going to work,
Yeah.
and that it would restrict your creativity. And not sounding too conceited, but I went in completely with a different mindset, thinking, right, no, you do that, but I want to really open my mind up here.
Yeah. Yeah.
For me, I was deliberate. I worked the other way, and I think my old tutors, bless them, will hopefully agree that that was the case back in the day. But yeah,
Yeah.
it worked really well for me. It kind of made it that I enjoyed those years so
Yeah.
much more, probably because I had been in the industry for 5 years.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's then quite a brave step to then go and start your part one, isn't it? Because you're almost set on your path in the
yeah,
construction
yeah.
industry.
It was. I must
So
admit, I'm not going to lie. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I had second thoughts and third thoughts,
yeah,
and just to make that quantum sort of leap. But yeah, it's the best thing I did, really.
yeah. No, that's good. So what kind of how do you see the plans for the practice now then? Obviously you've got Hull, London, obviously Leeds.
Yeah,
We What's the
well,
kind of growth and future? You said you might recruit soon as well, which is good.
yeah, we're always, there's that. We're also, I mean, we're a very kind of cooperative practice that we encourage everyone to be involved in the decision-making processes.
Yeah.
Um, and we also want, and no matter who comes into the practice, we want their ultimate goal to be one of the shareholders
Okay.
within the
Yeah, yeah.
practice.
But
Um,
you're an employee owned business, or is that a route you want to go down?
yeah,
Yeah.
so basically, we're doing it now, really.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've got there's two senior directors, and we've got three other directors who've come through and been with us for years, if you like, who are now
Yeah.
directors, but not in name only. We will be shareholders within the practice. Um, and yeah, so over the next 4 years, there'll then be two added to that list, who will
Yeah.
then, and so it becomes like a self sort of a regeneration, if you like, Doctor Who, where
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
so it encourages longevity of staff,
Yep.
but they've got a reason to get up in the morning. Yes, we all love our job and want to design lovely buildings and everything else, but you do have days when you know, do I want to be in today?
Yeah.
But if you're actually sort of, if you've got skin in the game in terms of ownership,
Yeah,
um, then you will see, it's not about finance, but you will see rewards in terms of the work you do. Also,
yeah,
you'll see other rewards in terms of, being blunt about it, financial reward as well.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
To
Well,
share the love around, if you like.
it gives people a vested interest, doesn't it?
Completely.
Which
And
makes you stand out from the crowd, doesn't it?
yeah, and I think given the length of time many of our staff have been with us, it is working.
Yeah,
Decades in some instances.
yeah. Which is
Um,
brilliant. And of course, if people can see, well, it ultimately gives them almost as the youngsters come up through the ranks and they know this is their future. It gives them retirement planning, knowing that every day they turn up for work, they are putting money in their own pot, essentially, aren't they?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a brilliant model. So it's
yeah.
and I think others are starting to look at that, the whole employee-owned business route, aren't they? But obviously you've been doing it for a while. But
I mean, obviously, my co-director, Alan, has been with me a long time, but we always kind of work, and I think I did this from day one, try and work with your staff in terms of if I'm sat in their chair right now, what would I want?
yeah,
How would I
yeah,
want
yeah,
this to work for me?
yeah.
And if, I think if that's what I would really want, I'm guessing that these people here would probably want the same thing, but don't want to say it. And that's how we sort of
You're exactly right.
started that
Yeah,
kind of. I mean, the whole concept of this started 10 years ago,
yeah,
and that's where we are now, and it's now rolling on. That's
yeah,
not to say that when they put me out to pasture, um, and I may have no shares whatsoever in the near future, but I still will be involved. I hope as a consultant, working a couple of days until I drop off
yeah.
the edge of whatever. So
That's your kind of plan, is it, to almost step aside in the upcoming future and then become a consultant to the business? Is that?
yeah, it'll be probably 4 or 5 years before there's in terms of my shares will disappear pretty much.
Yeah,
But the intention is that I'll still be around because I love what I do so much,
yeah,
and you know, whether that's 2 days, 3 days, or one day, that I'll still have input.
yeah.
If they want me here, but it just seems a better alternative than daytime television for me.
Yeah, I think there's so many people that retire and then if you absolutely love what you do, which you've clearly got a passion for, then
Yep,
life can become very, very slow very quickly if you suddenly give up what you've done for 50 years, can't it?
absolutely,
So no, all
absolutely.
credit to you. So
Yeah.
what's kind of what are your key exciting projects on the drawing board at the moment? Then you would say,
Yeah, we've got a couple actually. Full enough, we've just been well. The master planning we're doing for Middlesbrough near the station and working with the landowners there is really quite interesting.
yeah,
So it's a much neglected area of the town. Um, then there's this smaller scale stuff, which actually, funnily enough, has just been appointed on a conversion of a project in Leeds. This one, it's right in the middle of the banking sector,
yeah,
and it's a building that was designed by it's Grade Two listed, designed by Alfred Waterhouse, the architect of the Natural History Museum.
okay,
Um, and if you look at the building that we're looking at and look at the Natural History Museum, you can see this kind of, oh yeah, I get it kind of
yeah,
thing. Very complex building internally,
yeah.
and it's going to be very challenging, um, but exceptionally interesting to work on. It's the kind of thing you do for love rather than anything else, almost.
Yeah.
You know,
How
although
is that? Is that public funded then, that project, or is that
no, it's private.
yeah,
It will be. Oh no, it's a complete private development.
yeah.
Another London client, in fact.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, that's really good. And
Yeah.
uh, so you say, do you have some practices are now having under one roof, planners within the same roof and different disciplines. Is that you as well, or do you sublet this kind
Yes,
of thing?
that's
Or
funny you should say that, Nick. 20 years ago, we toyed with planning consultant within the office,
yeah,
interior designer within the office, structural engineer within the office, and making it a bit more multidisciplinary.
yeah,
And we did sort of flirt with that a little bit. Um, Soon became apparent that none of us enjoyed sort of really the idea of just one input from one engineer
yeah,
forever, if
that
you
makes
like.
sense. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And from a pure marketing point of view, we get work from planning consultants.
yeah,
So if we employ a planning consultant, I would guess that work would dry up.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Good
But
point.
why would
Yeah,
they? Why would they come to us?
yeah, yeah,
And so we thought, no, do you know what? And we sort of subcontracted some interior work and landscape work, and we said, do you know, we're architects. Let's just do architecture.
Yeah,
And we just don't know. We'll stick with one discipline, try and be as thorough as best we can within that,
yeah,
and not get diverted. And then you have a network of other consultants that you work with, and either you become friendly, but they've got to be good at what they do,
yeah,
and that you can rely on. So we have got
yeah,
a number of engineers, planning consultants, M&E, the lot that we work with regularly.
yeah,
A couple of interior designers that we've got very strong working relationships with,
yeah,
but nevertheless they're their own businesses,
yeah.
and
You call upon them when needed. Yeah,
yeah. The only thing I would say now is that we are given the new Building Safety Act, which is takes some navigating, as I'm sure you know.
mm.
Um, we're now providing principal designer role for the Building Safety Act on projects,
Okay,
for
yeah,
building regulations,
yeah,
because we think it's probably what architects should do anyway.
yeah,
Back in the day, pre-design and build era, it was something where the architect did control where everything was going,
yeah.
and it's sort of coming back. So now we are offering that service again.
Okay,
Um,
that's really good. Yeah,
and no, again, there's been a lot of education and courses within the practice, and we're all looking at it seriously. But it is changing the way that we're looking at building hugely as we sit here right now.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and that's a different story, because I do think there'll be some changes to that
Yeah.
coming through. But yeah,
And
so we
then
offer that one service. Other than that, it's just architects on the tin.
do you with you working on projects all around the country,
Yeah.
do you see kind of different way that planners operate in terms of timescale and stuff from different local authorities around the country? I presume in London, London compared to Leeds, perhaps, is there a lot more lead time and do you notice a difference or not really?
That's a great question. Could we do a separate episode on planning?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be all day. Yeah.
Um,
We'd need a few
yeah.
pints as well, I expect.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. That is a great question. Right. So, the answer to that is, regardless of the authority you're working with,
Yeah.
you seem to it's all you get the service that's only related to the planning officer you deal with. I
Yeah.
find.
Yeah, yeah. Good.
Um,
Yeah, good answer. That makes
yeah,
sense. Yeah.
yeah, and I've got a couple of schemes right now within the M25. I won't say what authorities they come under, just in case, because they'll know my name.
Yeah.
But where the delays and lack of interest response is absolutely dire. Um,
I can imagine. Yeah. I
but
hear
then
it
I've got
all.
other
Yeah.
authorities I worked with inside, with London boroughs, who've been very supportive,
Yeah.
and we worked brilliantly with. Same with Leeds. I'd say Leeds, because people don't know, Leeds is the third largest city in the UK. There's
Yeah.
a lot of people here, a lot of land, a lot of business.
Yeah.
Um, and we tend to, we do work in within the 300 square mile of the city on the periphery, if you like, but we find the city centre team and the planning committee,
Yeah.
uh, and I'm not just saying this because they know who I am, but remarkably good to work with.
Yeah.
Very efficient, very supportive. They'll work with you, as will the planning committee themselves.
Yeah. That's
Um,
really good.
and you've got to do your two penneth yourself, and but they are a very good local authority to work with in the centre.
Yeah.
It can vary. It's hit and miss once you get away from the central area. They're two completely different philosophies. The city centre teams and the ones in the suburbs, completely different philosophies.
Really. Yeah.
And that's the same for Liverpool, Manchester.
Yeah.
It just seems to be depending on the actual officer
Yeah.
that you're dealing with at that moment.
So it doesn't matter
Really.
whether it's a county council or a unitary authority. It's purely based on the individual.
Tends to be,
Yeah.
absolutely. There are a couple of councils where you think, oh, not them again. I don't really want, because, but I love it. And to be fair to some of the offices, I think a lot of them are really under resourced.
Yeah, I hear it. Across the country, they're understaffed,
Yeah,
overworked,
yeah.
and they've just got a piles of work that they just can't get through. It's
Absolutely. I know, speaking to them off the record and closer that we know, and you do know that,
yeah,
they really do need to. I mean, this planning legislation change and changing zones and MPF or whatever, forget that. Let's just to resource what's already here would help.
yeah, yeah,
If
yeah,
you want to move things on, start resourcing it,
yeah,
you know.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting question when I speak to practice directors from all business shapes and sizes from all around the country, they all share very similar views to you, and it's
Mm.
hopefully something like this helps to the powers that be to perhaps reform this in the correct way, because you're the man on the ground that knows exactly how it works, and it's
Yeah.
interesting to get your view. So,
Yeah. Thank you.
well, look, it's I think that's been a really good chat. It's been really, I'm quite frankly inspired by your background. It's really good to hear. Honestly, it's hats
Thank
off to
you.
you. The work that you've done and continue to do, and the business is
Yeah.
still thriving, and it has done. We've spoken about the early 90s recession, the financial recession in 2007, whenever it was.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
all of those, and it was a very tough time.
Yeah.
But you've got to very much, focus on today and heads down and press on, and that's
Yeah.
the kind of core ethos and values that I stand by. Um, and
100%.
many don't. It's so easy to get sidetracked, isn't it?
It
Um,
is.
but you
Just
you focused
enjoy
on
it
the
as
end
well.
goal.
Try and enjoy it as you
Yeah,
go. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
don't take yourself too seriously, I always think. But you know,
yeah.
just take
No, all credit to you.
the professionalism you take seriously in the design, which we love. But just the day to day, just enjoy it as you go.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
Okay.
No, well, fair play to you. And David, well, look, it's I thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much for coming on and for meeting you and
You're
sharing your
welcome.
story with our audience. And I shall certainly speak with you again soon.
Okay. Thanks, Nick. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, David.